As a child, I'd had, well, I still have racist experiences as an adult, but as a child, I had some that were very traumatic to me. And I had formed a question in my mind at the age of 10 or 11, and that question being, how can you hate me when you don't even know me?
What was your motivation to start working with the Klan?
Well, I kept running into a lot of these people on my gigs as a musician, and some of the places that I performed were frequented by Klan members.
Where were some of those places?
This place, the Silver Dollar Lounge, was predominantly an all-white place, and here I was in the bar with this band that I was playing in. After the first set, I was walking across the dance floor to sit with my bandmates, and a white gentleman came up from behind and put his arm around my shoulder, and I stopped and turned around to see who was touching me, because all my band was over there. And he said, "I really enjoy your all's music." And I said, "Well, thank you, sir, I appreciate that." And I shook his hand. He says, "Well, man, I sure like your piano playing. This is the first time I ever heard a black man play piano like Jerry Lee Lewis." And I was not offended, but I was kind of surprised. Like, has he never seen Little Richard or Fats Domino? I mean, that style that Jerry Lee Lewis has evolved from black blues and boogie-woogie piano players. But he was fascinated with me and wanted to buy me a drink. So I got back there. He had a friend that was sitting with him. So he pulls his chair around, sits next to his friend, and I sat opposite them. He takes his glass, and he clinks my glass and cheers me. And he says, "You know, this is the first time I've ever sat down and had a drink with a black man. Now I'm really curious." Again, not offended, but curious.
And this is the 80s?
It's 1983. This guy was in his mid to late 40s. In 1983, I was 25 years old. And I'm thinking, this guy's in his 40s. How is it that he has never sat down with a black guy before? And just out of curiosity, I said, "Why?" And he didn't answer me. He looked down at the top of the table, and he said, he didn't say anything, he was quiet. I said, "Why?" And his buddy elbowed him and said, "Tell him, tell him, tell him." I said, "Tell me." I think, what's this big secret? He looked back at me just as plain as day, and he said, "I'm a member of the Ku Klux Klan." I burst out laughing, because I did not believe him.
He wasn't who you were thinking he'd be.
No, of course not. So in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, he thought I was jerking him around about Jerry Lee Lewis, so he's going to pull one over on me and tell me he's a member of the Klan, which does not fit, my knowledge of the Klan. And while I'm laughing, he went inside his pocket, pulled out his wallet, and handed me his Klan card. I looked at this thing and said, "Whoa, this thing is for real." I recognized the Ku Klux Klan insignia, which is a red circle with a white cross and a red blood drop and some other information on there, and I instantly stopped laughing because this thing was real, it was no longer funny, and I gave him back his card. And we talked about the Klan and some other things, but he gave me his phone number and wanted me to call him anytime I was going to return to this bar with this band, because he wanted to bring some of his colleagues, in other words, Klansmen and Klanswomen, to see this black guy play like Jerry Lee Lewis. I'm not sure he called me a black guy when he was talking to them. And we were there like every 6 weeks on a rotation with other bands, and for Friday and Saturday, the whole weekend. So I'd call him on a Wednesday or a Thursday and say, "Hey man, we're going to be down at the Silver Dollar, come on out." He'd come Friday and Saturday. He'd bring Klansmen and Klanswomen.